It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
All right, let's move on to Alan's question. He says, what is the best way to leave money behind for kids or dependents? He's heard us say don't put their name on the account. So then what's the best way to leave money behind the right way?
Well, can I take this in twofold and then you can fill in?
Yeah.
I think there's two things. Now, when you say leave behind, that means you're dead. But I want to talk about, because sometimes it's good to give stuff away while you're alive, too. So you actually get to see people's reactions and organizations and other things. Because I think it really is better to give than to receive. So it's fun to kind of see that. I always just tell people, when you're giving while you're alive, though, to like family members and other things, obviously gifts of cash is good up to those that soon to be $17,000 a year is decent, or paying for education directly to the organization. Those type of things can be really good strategies to kind of work through that while you're alive. When you've passed away, here's something that always, it blows my mind when people just, put their names on accounts, or they just start deeding. Like you go, let's go get on mom and dad's deed for the house so they'll be easy when they pass away, to kind of transfer ownership. I'm always like, be careful, because right now under estate laws in the federal government, you're allowed to take what's called step up in basis, meaning that if you've got that, your grandma bought Coca-Cola back in the 30s or 40s, or you got the relative in California that has the house that they bought for $60,000 that's a block from the beach, and now it's worth $3.5 to $4 million. And you're like, how in the heck are we ever going to turn that into liquid assets without the government just eating us alive? It's called you die with it. And I hate to be so crass about it, because it sounds, estate planning is always the hardest thing to talk about, because you're talking about death, which is not the funnest thing. But there's some truth and reality in the fact of planning that for this step up in basis. I mean, I've even had to think about this in terms of when I was trying to figure out Roth conversion strategies versus 0% capital gains for some clients as they're getting older and facing some health concerns and stuff. I'm like, man, yeah, we could take the 0% capital gains rate, or we could convert to Roth. And man, maybe we should do the Roth, because if you die with IRA assets, somebody still has to pay the taxes, whereas you die with the appreciated assets, they're going to get the step up. There's all kind of planning that goes into this, but hopefully, because sometimes I worry, a big criticism on our show is that sometimes we don't actually give you the raw answer, but it's because we don't have all the variables, so we're trying to give you giving you the ingredients, but we do make you mix it sometimes.
So the first thing he said was a great way to leave assets is any highly appreciated asset that you own, whether it be a business or a home or investment assets. It's better for you to pass away owning those and let your beneficiaries inherit those, because they get a step up in basis. Another thing to think about, again, if you're just thinking about what to pass on, one of the best gifts you can give your heirs is a good plan. I can't tell you how many folks we see who pass away and they got accounts all over the place, and grandma or grandpa, they knew what they were doing and they were astute and they had it down to a science. But as soon as they were gone and no one was there to decipher what their plan was and what their strategy was, it's a nightmare trying to find all the different pieces and put it all together. One of the best gifts you can give your heirs is a well thought out, well laid out estate plan that says, hey, this is exactly what should happen. This is what I want to go where and who should receive it and how they should receive it. It's not incredibly complicated to get that in place. It just is a matter of having really good estate documents that lay out, these are my wishes, this is what I want to happen, and then make sure that your financial situation mirrors that. I have my beneficiaries updated. I have TODs or transfer on deaths listed on my accounts. I've made a list of the hard stuff. Most often in our world, people don't often fight over the money because the money's really easy to account for because you put beneficiaries over there. People account for the soft stuff, the watch or the car or the pictures or the photo album. So if you have that kind of stuff that you want to make sure you know who it goes to, leave some clear instructions. Because if it's hard for you to decide right now who should get that, think about how hard it's going to be for the people who are getting it to decide without your input. So that's the first thing. And then I'm just going to throw this on at the very end. A really good thing for beneficiaries to inherit are Roth assets. So if you're someone who's done well. You've reached financial independence, and now you're really thinking about legacy planning. All else equal, a beautiful thing about Roth IRAs is that when your beneficiaries inherit those assets, it's tax-free for them too. Now, they have 10 years after the date you die to be able to distribute those assets, but that's the rest of your life plus 10 years of tax-free growth. All else equal, if Roth converting makes sense in your situation, it's not a horrible estate planning practice to put in place, assuming it makes sense for what you have going on.
You do such a good job that it always strikes 2 or 3 ideas, and I feel like I gotta get that in there. The thing with we're financial mutants. You're watching a financial show right now, and but I can't help but think of begin with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. If you know every one of your relatives is not a financial mutant, try to give them, because Bo's talking about the benefit of a plan. My granddad, when he passed away on my mom's side, I love the fact that he went to every bank within an hour's drive to max out all those teaser rates that they're doing. And now that we're getting to higher interest rates, you probably have some relatives too that are riding around maxing out these teaser rates. That is great for getting, instead of 3% on that CD, getting 6.5% because you drove and you put $50,000 at that account across town. But you know what's horrible? When you pass away with accounts all over town and somebody has to figure it out. It's the same thing. If you get to step 8 of the financial order of operations and you've now built an empire of 25 rental properties and you're so proud of all the duplexes, quadplexes, single residential properties, but you look down at your family and you go, there ain't a single soul here that cares about doing residential real estate. And by the way, they're all vying for who gets the cash versus who wants the rental property because they're panicked about who's got to take care of fixing the plumbing, sheetrock, and all the other stuff that comes with it. Think about those things because we're financial mutants, so we already have, Bo shared earlier on a previous question that 60% of Americans can't even come up with $1,000. So that you are unique in the fact that you look at every dollar as the opportunity or potential of what it can become. I feel like most people don't do that. So just go into it. I'm not saying go out there and do a fire sale, but I'm saying to prevent your family from doing the fire sale and selling assets that could be worth a lot for a little just because they don't know what they're worth and they don't want to have the hassle factor. You might want to do some consolidation and simplifying while you're here to be the financial mutant that can navigate those waters well.